All right, so today we're diving into something that frankly exemplifies why understanding the law matters more than ever. We've got a bank encounter involving a suspect named Anthony and allegations of $1.6 million in counterfeit checks. Now, I should be clear from the outset, I'm not a practicing attorney, but I've spent years studying constitutional law and use of force doctrine. What I bring is informed legal analysis grounded in actual case law. Here's why this matters right now. Financial fraud cases have surged nationally, and law enforcement agencies are under immense pressure to respond decisively while respecting constitutional boundaries. So when we watch this footage together, we're going to apply the legal framework that courts actually use, qualified immunity doctrine, and the objective reasonableness standard from Graham versus Connor. These aren't abstract concepts. They're the tools that determine whether officer conduct falls within protected bounds. If you love exploring body cam footage just like me, then hit that subscribe button.
He's in the office now with the manager. He's writing. He's just look very fake. His passport, what I saw online, it said it should be year, month, date, but I don't know. Kristen contacted our security and she said to call you guys.
He's trying to deposit it?
Opening up a new account with those. You can step in there if you want, but she's back.
Okay.
He's in my office now presenting these, and this looks to be a fake passport. The date, it says the date's supposed to be backwards, like the year's supposed to be over there.
Do those feel like real checks, or?
No, they're already pre-made. I ran them through check systems. The name didn't come up on check systems. It just had a credit score, very low credit score, and no reason he should be getting these kind of checks, it seems.
Well, he's saying that it's in his account.
Yeah, he's saying it came from a bank, from him, he's saying.
What bank?
In Missouri.
Well, even the picture has to be white.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was trying to get her to pull up if it was fake or not, but I couldn't figure out. Make sure.
Where's he?
He's
in the back office over there.
You want me to just keep stalling him for a minute?
Just keep stalling him. Tell me, is there an actual bank?
I haven't had a chance to look that up. I could have one of the girls.
Okay, see if that is an actual bank. Manny. Okay, the passport, he doesn't have a license. Give him this, but this doesn't even look right because the picture has to be white. Mm-hmm. So it's a fake passport. He's trying to put in like almost $1.5 million.
From where?
He's saying he has an account in St. Louis, trying to open up an account here.
Look.
Hi. How you guys doing?
Okay.
Good. Anthony.
Yeah.
What do we got going on here today?
Nothing much.
Nothing?
No.
Okay. Where'd you get this passport at?
Got that passport from the United States government.
Okay. You got some other ID on you?
Got a passport card also.
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
Read that, please.
Vision's starting to go.
Yeah, I hear you. That's why I have these.
I'm a nationally protected person.
Protect a person for what?
That ID.
What do you mean a protected person?
I'm an internationally protected person. What the hell is
For
that?
what, though?
You saw her?
Nationally protected from?
From anything.
From the law, you're saying?
No. Okay.
I'm
Just internationally protected. That's what that ID is. I just gave it. Never heard
He's
of that.
he's a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
It says it right there on the back of the card.
No, it don't. No, it don't.
I don't need to read it. I've seen
No, it
it.
don't. It don't say I'm a sovereign citizen because I don't claim to be a sovereign citizen at all.
Okay. Same ideology.
And that account that I'm using.
What the checks are from?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That account. You better check with the Bank of St. Louis before you make a move on me.
So
I got written permission to use that account.
Can you reach out to him and see who this would be through?
Where they found that?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I got written permission to use that account. If I didn't have written permission to use that account, I wouldn't be using it. I've had my passport since 2020. Since 2020?
Yeah.
So you don't have a driver's license?
No.
Okay, because you can't drive out of here
Why not?
because you don't have a license.
I don't need a license.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
So you're saying you're a sovereign citizen?
No, I'm not saying I'm a sovereign citizen officer. Now, let me explain something to you.
Okay, so right away I'm hearing Anthony reference being a protected person. Now hold on, this is a significant tell. What we're witnessing here is classic sovereign citizen rhetoric, and I've seen this pattern dozens of times in use of force, depositions, and court filings. Here's what the clip doesn't tell you. The sovereign citizen movement operates on a fundamental misunderstanding of American jurisprudence. They believe certain phrases or documents grant them immunity from federal and state law. Courts have rejected this consistently and emphatically. The Seventh Circuit in United States v. Benabi made clear that sovereign citizen arguments are utterly without merit and have no legal basis whatsoever. What strikes me watching this is the officers' tactical patience. They're not escalating, they're gathering information while Anthony presents identification that the bank has already flagged as suspect. Notice the passport concerns, the driver's license issues. Under Terry v. Ohio, officers have wide latitude to conduct investigative stops when reasonable suspicion exists. And with $1.6 million in allegedly counterfeit checks, that's not a hunch. That's probable cause developing in real time. The officers are doing exactly what the law empowers them to do.
Okay. Let me explain something to you. Do you see those license plates on the back of my car out there?
Sending the police are here wanting to
I don't even know what car you have.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what car I got. I ain't scared. I ain't got no reason to be scared. I ain't done nothing illegal. My car's that 2013 Ford Explorer out there.
Okay.
Go call that number in to
6675.
the Ohio to the
Thanks.
United States Department of
Okay.
Transportation. It's got a DOT number on there. That car's under my trust.
Radio signal.
Call me back.
That car's under my trust, and I'm operating out of my trust. And that car's trust property. And that right there, those checks are written off my trust. And I have written permission from the Federal Reserve Bank to use that account.
No, that's what we're gonna check.
Yeah, you can check all you want. And if you want, I'll call my girlfriend and tell her she can fax the paper up here. Show them where I sent it to them in June.
So what?
Show them the document that I sent to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis and to the IRS for written permission to use that account.
Well, wait and see.
Those accounts are private. Isn't that what I told you?
You did?
Did you ask me where the funds was coming from?
Yep, that's what I put on.
I ain't got nothing to lie about. I ain't got nothing to hide. I ain't no thief. And I ain't doing nothing illegal. And it's not the first time I've done it, just so you know. So you know if I did it before. Am I right, officer? If I did it twice before.
Where'd you do it before?
I did it at Woodforest Bank and I did it at
Elmer, this is
I did it at Woodforest Bank and I did it at PNC Bank.
Hi.
Yeah. I ain't got
The
shit to
police are
hide.
wanting to know where you found the
You got dates?
information. Like
Got dates for
where-
what?
For when you did it?
where
Yeah,
the
I got my paperwork at home.
Oh, okay.
office.
Yeah. And I don't appreciate y'all calling me a sovereign citizen because I'm not. Don't put no claim and no name on me.
Okay.
You don't label me. Now, I want you officers.
Sovereign citizens claim the same
I
thing.
want you. No, I'm not a sovereign citizen. You can't put me in the boat with somebody else. Okay. I'm an ex-officer just like you guys. Okay. I know what you do, and I know how you do what you do.
She wants to know if you need more information, like the court record or anything.
Yeah, if they can give me that number.
Yeah, if you can give me that number, that'd be great.
What this got to do with my old court case down in the city of Warren?
I don't know, the sergeant's handling talking.
That case been dismissed.
What was it for?
What was it for?
Was it for driving without a license and you got your car towed?
No.
I think it was because I think we stopped you before.
No, it wasn't.
You got
don't
a
know
car.
what
You
you're
got a
talking
car last time, yeah.
about. Listen. No, it wasn't. My case down at the county. My case at the county, the
Okay.
Trumbull County.
You used to have you used to have a car?
I had to do with this car right here, and I had it in the shop.
Yeah.
And the guy had my car for over a year. Okay? And they brought the case. He went down and followed me and lied on me and said that I gave him a fake check. Okay?
Okay.
And I went down there, spoke to them, and spoke to the prosecutor
Yes.
and told him, you guys never asked me not one damn thing about that case. That guy went down and filed that case, and y'all do like y'all always do. You walk in and you assume. You don't investigate. Remember, I'm an ex-cop. Trumbull County Sheriff. And the same time I was working at Trumbull County Sheriff, I was working at Kyle Metropolitan Housing Authority, full time, on the midnight shift.
No.
Y'all need to stop assuming, stop putting labels on people. That's disrespectful. Don't call me something that I don't claim to be. You don't know diddly squat about me besides what's in that computer. That's all you know about me. You don't know nothing else about me.
Oh, we know you can't. You're not allowed to drive.
No.
Yeah, I am allowed to drive.
Yeah.
I don't need a driver's license.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. Now, let me ask you a question.
That's why you got your car towed last time.
Officers, I'm not arguing with you. Listen, here's what I want. No, I didn't.
You did.
Here's what, no,
I
didn't.
towed it.
Listen, you never towed that car. That car
I did.
never been towed.
Not that one. Your other one.
You towed what car?
Yeah, we stopped you before. It was a couple years ago now.
No, you
I remember
didn't.
you. Yeah, I did.
No, you don't.
Yes, I
remember.
did.
Where do I live?
I promise you.
Where do I live?
I don't know.
47.
You had these. I don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't.
This number's longer than I ever said. Look at that. Look, what is that even supposed to be?
Now, this is where the legal framework really crystallizes. What you're seeing in this footage is textbook adherence to the objective reasonableness standard from Graham v. Connor. And I want to be clear about what that means because critics get this wrong constantly. Graham tells us, we judge officer conduct from the perspective of a reasonable officer on scene facing the same circumstances, not from the comfort of a courtroom months later, not from an armchair with perfect hindsight. The Supreme Court was explicit about this in 1989, and it remains controlling precedent today. So when I watch these officers calmly processing information while Anthony cycles through incoherent statements about checks and coverage and reaching out to people, they're doing exactly what the doctrine requires. They're assessing a fluid situation involving suspected felony counterfeiting without rushing to force. Here's what the anti-police critique always misses. Without qualified immunity and objective reasonableness, protections officers would face personal liability every time they made a split-second judgment call. The Ninth Circuit addressed this in Malinix v. Luna. These doctrines exist precisely because law enforcement requires decisive action in ambiguous circumstances. The officers here are protected because they're acting within established legal bounds, period.
Listen,
We don't even know if that's even you, but I recognize your face.
listen, you don't recognize my face.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Now let me explain
Well,
something.
don't try putting labels on him that he can't remember you.
No.
When he can't remember you.
Don't put that evil on
Because
him.
Yeah, don't put that. Don't try putting that on him.
Listen, I ain't never had my car towed for that. I ain't never had my car towed because I ain't no driver's license.
What's that?
Do you want me to take this to the other office?
Yeah, give that to sir.
I ain't never had my car towed because I ain't no driver's
They
license.
not come. What are they checking for?
Do you know how long it's been since I haven't had a driver's license?
2023. License expired.
Yeah, it expired, and I renew it.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to drive then.
No, now let me explain something to you officers, okay, before you jump to conclusions. I understand what the Ohio Revised Code says, but what overrides the Ohio Revised Code?
47.
Don't the United States Supreme Court rulings on driver's license override that? Yes, it does.
You need a driver's
It
license.
says- No.
They're saying you need a driver's license.
No,
you need to
it
have a
says-
valid driver's license.
Well, look, let me tell you something. It don't say I need a driver's license. Ohio,
City of Warren, State of Ohio does.
I don't care nothing about City of Warren, State of Ohio. I don't care about
That's
that.
what we go by right now.
Well, I'm not going by that because I'm going by what federal law says. Federal law overrides state
4573.
and city. Federal says the U.S. Supreme Court says I don't have to have
Do
a
you want me to
driver's
public
license
service
or
or
car
give you information
insurance.
over here?
Love this.
And that car
You don't have insurance either?
That car's under my I got insurance under my trust. Now touch it. That vehicle's under a trust, and the trust. is
Well, if you
private.
pull out of here and we stop you, then we're going to tow it again. And
Listen. I respect you officers to the utmost.
47.
Okay, don't threaten me.
47.
It's not a threat.
Because that vehicle is under a trust. You better go to your supervisor. You better ask him about a private
that is
trust.
a supervisor.
You better ask them about a trust. Because if you trespass on that trust property, okay, there's going to be a problem.
Okay.
Public,
What kind of problem?
all I'm saying is this, officer.
kind of problem?
Listen, don't try and play me. I'm older than both of y'all.
What kind of problem?
Don't try and play me, bro. Come on now. I would never disrespect the officer. Period. Never. The routing number on that account is to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Kristen,
The account number on that
can you
account
call me back at extension
is to my
1670?
private trust.
Thanks.
Starts with a 98. Ma'am, am I right?
What, excuse
Both of
me?
those checks, the routing number is to the Federal Reserve Bank.
I don't know. I haven't looked at that just yet.
Okay.
I'll take a look though for you.
The account number, don't it start with a 98 on both of those checks? How do I know that? Because it's my private trust. Just register with the Internal Revenue Service.
4746.
Want me to go home and get the paperwork for you? Girlfriend, fax the paperwork to you?
4746.
No, just wait here.
I'm trying to make a deposit and call the police. For what? I ain't doing anything illegal. What am I doing? I don't understand that. You go to the bank to make a deposit because they're too large a deposit to call the police? It's ridiculous. It don't make no sense. Why can't y'all just treat customers like customers?
Is it Todd Hunt or Tyler Hunt?
Don't scan the check. If the check scans and it goes through, what that mean? Does that mean the check is good?
That's what they're trying to figure out right now.
Here's another check that I'm waiting to clear from the IRS. Okay?
If you have all this money, why are you
For
in
one
warrant?
point, for 1 point, I'm getting ready to get out of warrant.
What do you do for work?
I'm retired.
Oh,
I'm getting ready to get the hell out of warrant. This check right here.
Where's the trust from?
Huh?
Where's the trust from?
It's from,
For family or what?
yeah, it's from my dad's estate, part of it. Part of it's from my dad's estate. And my mom's estate. My mom and dad is deceased. This check right here to the IRS, United States Treasury, dated 8/13, $1.25 million. So why the hell would I write $1 million check? And I ain't got no money in the account. Well, this check is bad. Come on, guys. Y'all know better than that.
pictures of checks. He's got pictures of checks.
Yeah.
Also, that doesn't mean anything.
You could have just been sitting at home writing them, taking pictures of them.
Well, guess what? You want to go to my house and want me to log into my IRS? No. I understand what you're saying, but for me to show you that you just doing this, go to my house, look at my account, and I'll log into my IRS account, and you see them checks.
How do we know you're not just doing this?
Because I don't talk shit. I don't talk shit and came back here. I'm 64, going to 65 years old. I'll be 65 October 2nd. When I talk the talk, I walk the walk.
Hold on. Did you catch what just happened there? He casually mentions a check from the United States Treasury for, quote, about $500,000, alongside claims about his deceased parents' estate. This is where federal counterfeiting law becomes absolutely central. Under 18 U.S.C. Section 514, forging or uttering counterfeit securities, including Treasury instruments, is a federal felony carrying up to 25 years imprisonment. And here's what the banking protocols require. When a financial institution encounters a suspected counterfeit instrument of this magnitude, they're legally obligated to notify law enforcement under the Bank Secrecy Act reporting requirements. So the officers aren't just responding to a hunch, they're responding to a federally mandated fraud alert involving instruments totaling $1.6 million. The bank's verification systems flagged these checks before police ever arrived. What fascinates me legally is how Anthony weaves together the sovereign citizen playbook with this elaborate estate narrative. Courts see this pattern constantly. The Eighth Circuit in United States v. Ulloa dealt with similar fabricated trust documentation used to legitimize fraudulent instruments. The procedural detention here is textbook. Officers have articulable facts suggesting federal felony activity. That's not overreach. That's precisely what investigative protocol demands when you're looking at potential large-scale financial fraud with documentation that doesn't withstand basic scrutiny.
When did all this start? This stuff.
When did this?
That start.
I've had that for the last 2 years. I've had my passport for the last 4 years. My passport card and my passport book. I got both. They all got my picture on it. Okay?
All right. No, I know where you can go online and get them. It's like $20. They're not that.
$20 for what? For that?
For them to make them, yeah.
No.
They're not hard to
They don't
get.
cost $20. No, no.
I don't know what you paid then, but
No, you don't know what I paid. It wasn't no damn $20 either.
was it more?
Yeah, a hell of a lot more.
You got ripped off, man.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. See, one thing about it, bruh, is to have a full understanding of what's going on, to have an overstanding and an understanding.
But
You got your side and I got mine.
right, but listen, you're giving money to people who are shysters who take your money and give you this ID that does nothing, that goes nowhere. These people don't
Look,
have it.
I haven't sent that ID in.
They're taking your money and putting you in a jackpot. That's all they're doing.
No, listen, I haven't taken
You
that.
believe in this ideology that they have that.
No.
All right, I'm just trying to.
I haven't sent this ID in
I mean,
to the government yet. Okay? I haven't sent it in to the government. When I send this ID into the government, they're going to put it in the computer.
who said that?
No, I ain't know who said it. I haven't done it yet.
Who told you that?
Nobody told me anything.
Where did you read it?
I ain't read it nowhere.
How do you know?
Because I know. Because I've sent other ID
But
in.
who told you?
Nobody told me anything. I did it on my own.
How do you know they enter your ID in?
Just like they enter your driver's license.
47 traffic stop.
That's because that doesn't belong to you. That belongs to the state. That
I
ain't even
know,
your
but-
driver's license.
Listen.
That's why it's entered.
Now listen. Now you just opened your mouth and you said a very important thing right here.
Something you need.
No.
Even your plates.
No,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the driver's license don't belong to me, it belongs to the state. Okay, and I don't belong to the state. The driver's license belongs
If
to
you
the
want to
state.
drive on a road,
No, I'm not
you're going to
driving.
get that
I'm
license.
not driving. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. Now read it in the law. Am I allowed to travel? I'm not driving.
See, everything you're saying. See, these questions I'm
That's not
asking you, this is
sovereign
all
citizen.
sovereign
That's-
citizens.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
Go read the law. See, y'all talk that sovereign citizen crap, but you won't go read the law.
Nah.
Go read the law. Include the Ohio Revised Code.
I
Read
know.
it.
I know.
Read it what it says. You are. Let me ask y'all this. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. So before driver's license, the car came out. Everybody was walking, right? Did they have to have a license to walk? I want y'all to use y'all's brain.
Walk?
I'm not talking about that bull crap. Use your head more than hat rat. Before the invention of an automobile, everybody was what? Walking.
John.
Then people were on animals. Am I right? Am I wrong? Then they went from animals to wagons, right? Then they went to cars. Go back and read your history. When automobiles was first created, find out if there was a driver's license.
We ain't worried about history.
No, history.
We're worried about the present law.
history.
The present law.
History has
The present law.
Yeah. And I don't care about.
You have to have
I
it-
have to follow the law.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you do.
No, I don't.
Everybody does.
No.
Well, in a civilized society, okay,
I'm civilized, but I don't have to
there
follow the
are,
law.
right.
Because the law was what you don't understand is the law was written against me to be used against me. It wasn't used to help me. Just like I said with my one case at the county. The city, it went to the city and then moved over to the county. The city prosecutor didn't investigate. They didn't pick up the phone, call me and ask me no damn questions. And the county did the same damn thing. Okay? So don't tell me nothing about no law. I know exactly how it works.
Well,
They don't do no investigation. You go down there on any kind of case, they're doing like the law always do. They assume. And when you assume, you make an ass of yourself. That's why the first three letters of assume is ASS.
so did you assume that when you send this in, they're going to enter it because you're just
No, I didn't assume that. I know it for a
nobody
fact.
told you?
No, nobody told me. I know it for a fact because I've already sent other ID in.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
She advised is definitely not
I'm not
time.
assuming anything.
So what is it for?
See, I can pick my own ID. I don't have to have
No, we
ID
don't
from
have
the state.
Why do you have to have any ID at all?
Our system.
You don't.
Why do you?
You don't.
Why'd you pay to get one?
Because so I would be able to use it
For what?
when I go to like casinos or wherever.
Casino ain't going to take that.
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
Casinos take it every day. That very ID. Yeah, they do.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they do. You just don't know about it, but they do.
That's Jody.
They take it every day.
You know what strikes me watching this exchange? The sheer patience these officers are deploying. Look at how they're engaging with Anthony's rambling discourse about passports and birth certificates and websites where he supposedly learned all this. They're not escalating. They're not cutting him off aggressively. They're letting him talk. This is precisely what modern de-escalation training emphasizes. And I should note, I'm not a practicing attorney, but from what I understand about how departments have evolved their protocols since the 2020 era, reforms many agencies now prioritize what's called tactical patience in nonviolent encounters. The occupational stress here is enormous. These officers know they're dealing with potential federal felony charges involving $1.6 million in suspected counterfeit instruments. They have every legal justification under Terry to conduct a more assertive detention. Yet watch their body language. Watch how they're actually responding to his sovereign citizen talking points about licenses and the Word of God with calm, measured dialogue. This balancing act between respecting civil liberties and fulfilling public safety obligations doesn't happen by accident. It reflects training protocols aligned with post standards that have increasingly emphasized verbal de-escalation as the first tool rather than the last resort. What you're witnessing is professionalism under pressure, and frankly, it's exactly what builds public trust in these volatile moments.
Well, they are not supposed to.
If I have a driver's license, that's the driver's license other than Ohio, is it any good?
Yeah.
Now, there's a question, and y'all answer that correctly.
This is the United States.
Officers? Yeah.
You can even have one from, shoot, Canada.
Puerto Rico, where?
Okay. All right. Okay. I appreciate the answers because the answers are 100% correct. I appreciate.
Are you a teacher?
Are you?
No. No, I'm
Okay.
just asking questions. I know the answers, but you guys gave me the right answer.
But
I'm going to tell you something about you guys. That you guys are some of the best officers out there. You really are. Because you're being sincere, you're being honest. And I'm being honest and sincere with you. I'm not jacking your leg and none of that crap. Okay? That's a driver's license.
from?
It's an international driver's license. Good in 188 countries.
Well, it'll pop up when we run it.
I don't know if it'll pop up or not, but I know
It will.
it's-
You can run an
I know
international
it's-
license.
I know it's an international driver's license.
Yeah. We can find out. You said that you don't need an ID, but you have IDs. You don't need to spend money on an ID. Spend money on an ID. You said you don't need one. Why have one? It's just this circular argument.
It's good to
Because
have an
I think
ID
that someone put this in your head,
No,
and you
anybody put
believe
nothing in
this.
my head. I'm a grown man. Don't nobody put nothing in my head. I do my own thing.
I get that, but you're going to get yourself in a jackpot.
It's good to have an ID because, just like here, can you go in the bank and open an account without an ID? No.
Here's the deal. We're going to take him. So he's got multiple things wrong, with his passport, picture, the issuance date, and so forth. But we contacted the Federal Reserve, and the primary thing right now is the Federal Reserve in St. Louis, where he's claiming this money is at, doesn't issue personal checks. He's got a personal check here.
They don't have personal accounts.
Accounts. Okay. So amongst other things, the print on this, there's just, they're bogus checks. He's trying to cash $1.6 million here. So she's going to get other answers here from the Federal Reserve here in a few minutes, but in the meantime, there's enough. We're going to
Take him passing bad checks. Well,
we're just going to hold him on an investigation right now because I don't want any, I don't want him to appear in court or anything and then him set a bond and then he's gone. So we're just going to book him right now on an investigation and we'll talk to the prosecutor's office and go from there. But yeah, he's a sovereign citizen. I'm having to say
What does that mean?
I'll explain that to you. Like the laws don't apply. There's no laws.
Okay.
So they got their own set of laws.
Gotcha.
yeah.
So
Stop believing.
So if
stop
federal-
believing what they trained you
federally,
and brainwashed you to believe, and go read the law.
what's your
If you're a
stance
law
on
enforcement
what's your
officer,
stance on marijuana?
If you marijuana,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what my stance is on marijuana.
No, tell me right now what. Hold on, because this is going to blow your case out of the water.
No, it's not.
What is the federal stance on marijuana? What is Ohio's stance on marijuana?
The Ohio stance and the federal stance is two different stands. They both stand.
All right, I'm going to have you go ahead and stand up. You're going to be detained in handcuffs.
For what? What y'all handcuffing me for? What did I do?
46.
Do y'all see my passport book?
Oh no, that was the call 3 days ago.
What are y'all arresting me for?
Hold on. You got your key on you? Lock them?
Can I call my girlfriend? So she can
From
come
the
get my
county.
car? You'll get a call. That's my ID right there. Where's my passport book? 'Cause she didn't.
Well,
I have
we're
that.
keeping that.
You keeping my passport book for what?
All right, go ahead.
So you know this is false arrest, right? So you guys are not gonna tell me why you're arresting me, huh?
Well, I'm guessing passing bad checks, my
I
friend.
ain't passing no damn bad checks. I ain't passing no bad checks.
Right here, this one.
I got permission to use that account from the Federal Reserve Bank and the IRS.
That's his.
So where does this leave us? Let me step back and offer some final reflections on what we've just witnessed over the course of this encounter. This case is a masterclass in why legal literacy matters. Anthony walked into that bank believing he had discovered some secret pathway through American law. He believed that passports and birth certificates and phrases about being internationally protected would somehow shield him from the consequences of presenting $1.6 million in suspected counterfeit instruments. And here's the thing, he's not alone in that belief. The sovereign citizen movement has convinced thousands of people that the legal system contains hidden cheat codes, but courts have been unequivocal on this point, time and time again. From the Seventh Circuit in United States and Banabe to countless other rulings across federal and state jurisdictions, these arguments have been rejected as frivolous, not borderline, not debatable, frivolous. What strikes me most about this entire encounter is the contrast between mythology and reality. Anthony operated under a mythology about how law works. The officers operated under the reality of established constitutional doctrine. Under Terry v. Ohio, they had reasonable suspicion to detain. Under 18 U.S.C. Section 514, the presentation of those checks potentially constituted federal felonies carrying decades of imprisonment. Under Graham v. Connor, their conduct will be judged by what a reasonable officer would have done in that moment facing that specific situation. And I think that's the crucial takeaway here. The law was not written by accident. Qualified immunity exists because courts recognize that officers making split-second decisions in fluid, dangerous situations cannot be held to the standard of hindsight wisdom. The objective reasonableness test exists because the Supreme Court understood that judging police conduct requires inhabiting the perspective of someone actually on scene, not someone watching footage months later in a comfortable courtroom. Now, I should be clear. I'm not a practicing attorney, and this isn't legal advice. But what I can tell you, based on decades of studying these doctrines, is that the gap between what critics claim the law should be and what courts have actually held is enormous. And that gap gets exploited by movements like sovereign citizenship that prey on people who want to believe the system contains secret exemptions for those clever enough to find them. The officers in this footage demonstrated exactly what modern policing should look like. Tactical patience, measured engagement, a commitment to de-escalation while still fulfilling their sworn duty to investigate suspected criminal activity. They gave Anthony every opportunity to cooperate. They engaged with his theories calmly. They maintained professionalism under circumstances that would test anyone's patience. This is what informed analysis reveals when you strip away the emotional narratives and actually apply the legal standards courts use. The law protects officers who act reasonably. The law punishes those who attempt to defraud financial institutions. And the law has no patience for pseudo-legal theories that claim special immunity based on phrases and documents that carry no such power. If you've learned something watching this analysis, I'd encourage you to engage with these issues thoughtfully. Question what you think you know about police encounters. Look up the actual case law. Read Graham v. Connor. Understand what qualified immunity actually protects and why it exists. Because informed citizens make informed judgments, and that benefits everyone, including law enforcement officers doing difficult jobs under impossible scrutiny. Thank you for watching. Until next time.